Why women score higher than men in most leadership skills. Abstract. This article examines gender differences in leadership styles and abilities. The Research Foundation section outlines studies finding women tend to outperform men in key leadership domains like emotional intelligence, collaboration and teamwork, and communication. Meta-analyses show women scoring higher in overall emotional intelligence and its components, as well as favoring more democratic and participative leadership focused on collaboration. Research also indicates women's superior communication skills, listening ability, and ability to foster inclusion. Case studies from healthcare, technology, and non-profit industries demonstrate these gender differences in applied leadership competencies. The article argues that tapping women's strengths could maximize organizations' leadership potential and competitiveness. Strategies like assessing skills over stereotypes, sponsoring women, and ensuring inclusion are recommended. As a consultant with experience advising organizations on leadership, team dynamics, and culture change, I've had a front-row seat witnessing the evolution of women's leadership in the workplace. Through my work, as well as my own academic research into gender differences in leadership styles and skills, I've come to understand why data consistently shows that women outperform men in many core leadership competencies. Today we will explore the research foundation for why women score higher than men in most leadership skills. The Research Foundation, a wealth of studies over the past 2 decades, have examined gender differences in leadership styles and abilities. Some consistent findings have emerged regarding women's strengths in key leadership domains. Let's take a look at 3 areas where research shows women have an advantage. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, EI, involves self-awareness of one's emotions and the ability to understand, use, and manage emotions in positive ways to relieve stress. Communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. Goldman, 1998. Multiple meta-analyses have found that women tend to score higher than men in overall EI as well as its components like self-awareness, social awareness, and relationship management. Joseph and Newman, 2010. Brackett, Rivers, Schiffman, Lerner, and Solovey, 2006. Collaboration and teamwork. Research indicates that women tend to have a more democratic and participative leadership style focused on collaboration. Eagley and Johnson, 1990. This allows them to effectively engage diverse perspectives, build consensus, empower others, and get buy-in for decisions. Studies have linked such transformational and inclusive leadership approaches to higher team performance. Pless and Mark, 2004. Communication. Listening skills, providing constructive feedback to others, and nurturing an inclusive communication culture where all voices feel heard and respected. Helgeson, 1995. Meta-analyses have found consistent gender differences favoring women's communication styles as being more expressive, empathetic, and relationship-focused. Anderson and Leeper, 1998. Anderson, 1999. This research provides a foundation for why data consistently shows women outperforming men in leadership competency assessments across many organizations. Let's now explore some practical ways this plays out. Putting the research into practice. During my time as an internal consultant, I've had the opportunity to witness first-hand gender differences in leadership skills while administering 360-degree feedback assessments and conducting leadership development workshops within various companies. A few examples: healthcare industry. At a large hospital network, women physicians routinely scored higher than their male peers in emotional intelligence, particularly self-awareness, relationship building, and collaboration, teamwork when rated by direct reports and peers. These strengths aligned with the organization's high emphasis on compassionate, patient-centered care. Women physicians often took a more participative approach to decision-making with their care teams. Technology industry. In the fast-paced world of Silicon Valley startups, I've observed women founders and senior leaders using their communication and collaboration strengths to effectively lead virtual and geographically distributed teams. Their inclusive leadership styles helped foster psychological safety, knowledge sharing and innovation across functions in a way that was less hierarchical or siloed. Non-profit sector. For a social services non-profit, women directors consistently excelled at engaging diverse communities, building partnerships and fundraising, core competencies tied to their emotional intelligence, inclusive communication patterns and collaborative mindsets. They adept brought people together towards a shared mission. Across industries, studies have also found that organizations with more women in top leadership and board positions tend to outperform financially those with fewer women at the highest levels. Credit Suisse. 2014. McKinsey, 2007. Catalyst, 2004. This further validates research linking feminist, transformational leadership attributes to wider business benefits. Tapping into untapped potential. With the research foundations so clearly demonstrating women's strengths across important leadership competencies, it remains puzzling that women still remain underrepresented in C-suites and corporate board positions. I've seen firsthand how overlooking half the talent pool limits an organization's leadership potential. There are a few things companies and individual leaders can do to better tap into this untapped resource. Assess for strengths, not stereotypes. Rethink criteria for top roles to emphasize collaboration, communication skills over stereotypically masculine attributes like individual achievement. Sponsor high-potential women. Senior male allies can play a key role introducing high-performing women to new opportunities. Advocates and networks. Provide leadership development. Targeted coaching and workshops help both men and women strengthen underdeveloped skills like emotional intelligence and inclusive leadership approaches. Create an inclusive culture. Implementing stronger diversity, inclusion programs and policies encourages belonging, engagement and retention of all talents. Rethink work-life policies. More flex work accommodations allow high-achieving women to balance career and family in a way aligned with their styles. Overall, leveraging the evidence-backed strengths that research consistently shows women excel in is a win-win for any organization wanting to maximize its leadership potential, foster innovation and engagement, and ultimately outcompete in today's complex and volatile world. With intentional efforts, more companies can benefit from fully tapping into this vast well of untapped leadership talent. Conclusion. Over the past 2 decades, significant research has established that women tend to outperform men in many core leadership competencies that are increasingly invaluable for organizations. Things like emotional intelligence, collaboration, communication, and inclusive leadership. As a consultant who has witnessed this firsthand across multiple industries, I believe smarter companies are those recognizing how tapping into women's strengths and leadership styles enhances their competitive advantage. With biases and barriers addressed through improved culture, policies and sponsorship, more organizations will benefit from diverse, participative and authentic leadership, no matter the gender behind it. The evidence is clear. When it comes to desirable leadership skills, women score high. It's time to fully leverage this untapped potential to take business performance to the next level.